welcome back. So today I've got another underrated movies video, and of course, once again, I've forgotten what number we're on, but you guys know because it says in the title, up or down, wherever you're watching it. But yes, so I'm really excited to do this underrated movies video. I've had these ones kind of picked out, and I've recently, well, the ones that I've already seen, I recently rewatched, so that I could, because I thought, oh, I'll put those in an underrated movies video. Then I thought, wait, I should probably rewatch them because it's been a while, and you know, just in case my thoughts have changed. But no, I'm really happy with the ones that I've got here. And so the first one up is kind of like a childhood favourite of mine, I guess. I don't know how many times I watched it. I watched it a few times when I was younger, but I don't know how many times, but it always stuck in my brain. And then I hadn't watched it for a really long time, so I was like, yeah, I need to watch that movie again. And I feel like nobody really talks about it. But yeah, so basically the movie is Splash. And this is a Tom Hanks movie, and I actually believe it is either his first main role movie. I think it is his first main role movie, but I really wouldn't put money on it. I'm not exactly sure, but I looked up and I thought, oh wait, is this his first like lead role movie? And I think that it is, but you know, so anyway, it's a very old movie, and it's also got John Candy in. And yes, you know, it's got some other peeps in. But yeah, I love John Candy as well. But yeah, Tom Hanks in this movie. And as for Tom Hanks movies, I never really heard anyone talk about this one. But basically, he is, it's really tricky actually to how, well basically, under a series of events, he comes across this girl. And of course, the front cover gives it away. She ends up being, she's a mermaid, this girl. And he doesn't know this. And you know, she comes to New York, and it's this whole fish out of water thing in a real literal sense in this. And you guys know I love fish out of water things. But it's just a fun little movie. So Tom Hanks, you know, he meets this woman, he finds her really interesting, and he kind of has this connection with her. But he doesn't really understand what's going on, or who she is, or where she's come from, or like she doesn't understand how the world works, because obviously she's a mermaid, she's from underneath the sea. And it's just a fun movie. It's nothing to be taken too seriously. I'd give it 4 stars. It's a fun time. And yeah, I don't really have tons to say about it, but I definitely feel like it's underrated. And I feel like if you want just a fun, light movie, this is a great movie that no one talks about anymore, I feel. And I loved this movie when I was younger, but I remember there was this one scene that always stuck in my brain, which I thought was a bit of like a scary scene when I was younger, but it's not now. But yeah, it's you know, it takes some twists and turns, but kind of, you know, it's that predictable, fun. I don't know really if you'd call it a family movie. I guess it is a family movie. But yeah, it's from the 80s. What year did this come out? Does it say on the back? I hate when I just can't just quite see it quick enough. When did the movie come out? I think it was maybe 80... I don't know, I'm not going to guess. I'd guess 84, but I have no idea. So, but it came out in the 80s, so at least we know that. But yeah, it's just a fun, I mean, lots of 80s, not all 80s movies. Lots of 80s movies are just that kind of fun, good time kind of movie. And this is one of those. It's a fun, good time. It's not the best 80s movie ever made. It's not the best Tom Hanks movie ever made. But it's definitely fun and definitely worth a watch. And it's definitely underrated as well. I give the movie 4 stars. But then again, once again, I did grow up with it. So it does have that nostalgia thing going on as well for me. But yeah, definitely check out Splash if you haven't already. Especially if you're a fan of Tom Hanks. Because it's so funny watching this movie now, having seen tons of movies with Tom Hanks in. And, you know, seen, you know, him still in movies today. It's so funny to watch him back then, and he's still just the same good old Tom Hanks. You don't like think, oh, I don't know, he just seems very similar, and his, you know, his voice is obviously the same, and you just recognise him instantly. Oh yeah, it's Tom Hanks. You could just play his voice and you know it's Tom Hanks. Anyway, moving on. Splash is a great movie. Now the next one, coincidentally, is also a Tom Hanks movie that, again, I never really hear anybody talking about. So I'm like, yeah, let's go with the underrated Tom Hanks movies. And this one is The Terminal. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, so this is The Terminal with Tom Hanks and Catherine Zeta-Jones and the guy whose name I always forget. And also, this is a Steven Spielberg film. So there we go. And that, again, is it directed by? Yeah, it's directed by Steven Spielberg. And, you know, I never really hear many people talking about this movie. So it's directed by Steven Spielberg and it has Tom Hanks in it. I think, really, that's all you need to know if you haven't seen this movie. But no, it's a really interesting story. I really love this movie. It's quite a long movie for what it is. But basically it's this guy, and he's from Croatia. And he is coming to New York. So he flies to JFK, and when he lands, what's happened is while he was in the air, while he was in the flight, there's a war going on in his country, and it just kind of broke out. And Croatia is now no longer really a full country. There's some problems going on there. And so then he gets to the United States and his visa and his passport are no longer valid because of the country he's come from, and they end up in this weird little middle bit of predicament. So basically he has to stay at the airport, and you know, he gets there and he can't speak English, he doesn't know anybody, and he's really confused, and then it's kind of about him, you know, staying in this airport and the people that he meets and the things that go on in the airport. It's just so interesting and so much fun. I could definitely watch this movie multiple times. I mean, I've seen it a few times before I watched it again, and I really enjoy it, and I feel like it's a really fun movie. I get 4.5 stars. It's just so cool just to see all the little quirky things that go on in the airport and how they kind of resolve this issue and his story and all these other people in the airport stories. If you like movies about people and things like that, I think you'll definitely enjoy this one. So yeah, that is The Terminal, which I also really enjoyed, and definitely an underrated Tom Hanks movie. And then the third and final movie is one that I just recently watched, and it is The Way. This movie is definitely an interesting movie, and it's a lot different than kind of your typical movie. It's more of a, I can't really know, it's not more of a documentary, but it's more of a, it's a man's journey, and it's very much, you can tell that's what it is. So basically, at the beginning of the movie, this man, his son passes away on the Camino de Santiago? The Camino de Santiago, right? So his son is planning to do this walk, he's really into travelling, and then, you know, he passes away on the beginning of the walk. His father has to go and collect, you know, the remains from France, and then he ends up doing the walk. He ends up doing the Camino de Santiago. I don't know why I can't get that right. And it's kind of his journey, and it's all about that. It's all about his journey. It's very much a film about this man walking, but you know, he meets people along the way and you get to know them as well. But it's an interesting movie because obviously, you know, he's dealing with a lot of grief and grieving for his son, so it's hard to, like, in the beginning he's not necessarily a likeable character, but you can understand why he's kind of the way he is, because obviously he's just lost his son. He's not going to be just, you know, chirping along, so you can obviously relate to him, but I feel like you don't, there's that, he creates a wall up, you know, against all the other people, but you can kind of understand it, but it kind of makes it not, I don't know, you don't feel that connect that you do in the movie, but then you can understand it. I don't know if that makes sense. And then as well with the other characters, so he's not dislikable, it's just because you can understand the situation he's in. It feels very true and real, the way that he is, which I liked. And then the other characters that he meets along the way of this walk, that again, they had very interesting stories, but they weren't necessarily lovable, likeable characters. Apart from the Dutchman from Amsterdam, I really liked him. But you still find them really interesting and their stories really interesting. Basically, yeah, like I say, it's about him and this walk. I wouldn't recommend this movie to everybody. It's a different movie and it's not filled with stuff, not tons of stuff goes on. It's quite a slow-paced movie. It is literally a man walking from one place to another and what he sees along the way and the journey. But it's a beautiful movie, and if you enjoy things like that, or you have an interest in travel or the walk, then this would be a great movie. But I give it 4.5 stars because I definitely think that it's going to stay in my mind, and I don't know, I just found it a really beautiful movie. And I've never heard anybody else talk about it. So I was like, yes, I need to include it in the video just in case there's somebody out there who finds what I've said, which I haven't explained the movie very well, to be honest, but what I've said to be of any interest, and then they might go ahead and watch it and enjoy it. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and it was just, you know, it's this man's journey and his kind of grieving process, but then, you know, it becomes something much more than that. It's not just about that, it's just that's kind of the beginning, but I obviously don't want to give away the ending. But yeah, it definitely becomes so much more than that, and so many more things happen, and the story develops, and so on and so on. But yeah, I enjoyed this one. I definitely recommend you check it out if you feel like you'll be interested in it. It's definitely very different than many other movies. So yes, those are the 3 movies that I would recommend today. If you haven't seen either of these 2, I think everybody could enjoy these. I definitely recommend just going ahead and picking them up. They're old movies now, so you'll probably be able to find them just cheap or on Netflix or something, I don't really know. But yeah, definitely check out those. And if this one, if you think it sounds interesting at all, definitely go ahead and kind of have a look into it and check that one out as well. And yes, those are the movies that I recommend for these underrated movies. I love picking out the movies for these. Let me know down in the comments below if you have seen any of them. Thumbs up if you enjoy these. And until then, guys, I will see you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye!